exchange traded funds are of course incredibly popular. There's over 5,000 of them. You can't necessarily buy all of them. It depends on which country you're in. If I were to look at this list, let me zoom in for you. You can see there's a large number of exchange traded funds. Okay, so how could we narrow down a list when we've got so many factors to look at? Well, what if we use the same criteria that the wealthiest sovereign wealth funds, ultra high net worths and family offices use when they're looking to decide whether to give money to a hedge fund manager or private equity fund or any kind of fund manager? What if we were to narrow that down and say, well, let's ask them exactly the same questions? And those questions being, let me just go back, those questions being, let's have a look at the Sortino, which is a measure of the average return and the volatility of missing that to the downside, the risk of missing that to the downside, and alpha, your ability to outperform the market over a prolonged period of time. After all, we all want alpha, which is outperformance of the market and not just tracking an index tracker. And of course, we want our returns to be consistent. We don't want to say, oh, well, last year I did really well, but for the previous 10 years I was rubbish. Okay, so performance can be a misleader. Incorporated within that is, for instance, volatility and your most recent gains. Those are the factors that will help me then narrow down which funds and fund managers worth looking at. Of course, past performance is no guarantee. It's not a guarantee of the future. As we often say with other things not to do with investing, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Okay, so yes, there's no guarantee of what's going to happen, but I think the two most important things to look at are exactly the same things that the biggest sovereign wealth funds look at and the richest family offices look at, which is to ask the fund manager, well, what's your Sortino and alpha? And I'll tell you something, they'll never tell you. You've got to create it yourself. You've got to reverse engineer it from their price data and make it yourself, which is what we do.